I sort of see this divide, I guess, in podcasting where we talked about one divide, which is it, are you monetizing the channel or are you using it for marketing and acquisition, right? And then there's the big media companies, like the
Right.
New York Times and, CBS and ABC and NBC, and just starting to see how they're using like the Tonight Show, for example, right, as the pillar content.
Yep.
And then bam, they break up that pillar content into YouTube clips, and then some of them even have a podcast related to it. All the ESPN shows, even on Fox Sports and things like that, they always have like a recap at the end of the day. Here are the highlights of this 3 hour long,
Yep.
sports commentary show, right? So that maybe you're not able to watch the actual live show, on your way into work or listen to it. But when you're leaving work, bam, that podcast episode is right up there, right? Another really interesting one is this podcast I listen to, The Daily.
Hmm.
It's a New York Times podcast. It's 25 minutes. It's actually one of the things that I think have single-handedly allowed the New York Times to survive and actually thrive as a media company, because the New York Times is like main demographic now is millennials,
Right.
right? And that podcast, I read a number of articles on how it's kind of become this cultural phenomenon. I listen to it every day when I walk the dog. It's like a 20-minute episode. It gives me like all the updates that I need about all the pertinent things in the economy or politics or whatever. And it's just such an easy to digest format, and I
Yep.
think, again, like everyone has always talked about the millennials kind of being like this segment of the population that needs to be marketed to. And it's becoming even more important because, now millennials are now in their 30s, and you know what I mean? Like
Have money to
they're making
spend, and
decisions
yeah.
on buying. Exactly. But buying houses, having kids, enrolling their kids in schools and things like that, that maybe we weren't thinking about 10 years ago. And, now they become a target for companies like the old school, like big companies like Johnson and Johnson and Procter and Gamble,
Yep.
those kind of companies that maybe they didn't need to have that relationship with the millennial before, but now they do, right? And so you need to be able to put that in a format that is easily consumed by them. I would never buy the New York Times,
Yeah.
the newspaper, right? But I would donate to them to keep the podcast going, which I actually do.